to the Berg Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. With me today is Dan.
Hey, everybody.
And Ford.
Hey, how it going?
And today we're talking about transition. And a lot of times for us, that means like transitioning between seasons and things of that nature. And while that's definitely going on, we're kind of in the midst of the holiday season, which does tend to change our workflow, and it does tend to change our job makeup and how our guys interact, etc. But we're also talking a little bit about how we're transitioning out of some projects that we had that were very long term, consumed a lot of our resources, into doing more of the things that we used to do when we were, I don't know, like 5 years ago, or something of that nature, right?
Is pre-COVID.
3.5 years ago.
We're back to our pre-COVID work.
Pre-new norm, or whatever we want to say.
Yeah, we're going to go back to the old norm.
Going back to the old norm.
Yeah.
But that means some things, right?
It does. I mean, you get to go out and, when we drove around a little bit, each of us at different times. You drive around and just go out and we're fortunate right now. You just drive to a site and it's a farm field. You know what I mean? And there's just dozers pushing, excavators running, rock trucks moving soil. It's back to what we did, before we took on a couple of jobs that lasted a long time. For a while we were sitting on jobs for, more than a couple of years, and that's not what we normally do. We, max landfill used to be the max, and that was like an 18 months maximum, usually 12.
Right.
And different stages of big earth moving. So we're getting back to that. And it's exciting. I mean, on those jobs, we're still going to get to a point where the site's done, and then we're going to have to, do the utility work and do the prep for paving and curb and flat work and all that stuff. But, for the meantime, we're back to the cycle that we were used to for a long time. And it's funny, I say that, and we sort of talked about it beforehand, is I don't know who this we is that was used to it, because there's a lot of guys who have joined the team in the last 4 or 5 years
right,
that really don't know that side of how we worked. And so it's exciting to see them get back into it and see that. So it's exciting.
Yeah. And that's kind of what you were saying, Ford. You were talking a little bit about, like, culturally, some of these guys have never seen what we were 5 years ago, right? Because we've held, I think, true to our roots, but our work makeup and at time our workforce makeup has demanded us to be a little bit of a different thing over the last couple of years.
Well, I think going back to our last podcast about like the puzzle or whatever it was, like we jumped on a little different puzzle for a little while, and now we're kind of back to our home turf or whatever it is. And part of that is the question of, we were talking about culture, and we were talking about how, like, there's stuff on the doors or stuff on our website about, the words, but what does it actually mean? And, we're kind of being able to go through that and start afresh. We're this is the January 1st, everybody going on a diet type of conversation, but it's really a reality that, over the past 6 to 12 months, we've really been focused on the type of work, the type of clients, and sometimes, that gets away from you as you get going. But I think that we were able to refocus and really try and get to the stuff that is in our DNA, even though we might have been doing something else for a while.
Yeah, I love that. Going on the January 1st diet, because like we all visit the same doctor, and he talks about it not being diet, right? It being like a lifestyle change. But in many ways, that's actually still true. Like what we're talking about is a little bit, in some ways, for a lot of our people, a little bit of a lifestyle change, right? So from a work perspective, sort of changing the way we pursue things, the type of work that we're most interested in doing, that we feel like we do best, that our team sets our team up for success the most frequently, and that is a little bit, at least in our current phase of who we are as Berg Construction, a little bit of a lifestyle change.
It is, and I mean, the thing to understand, I think it's important that everybody remembers, is when we went after, it's like the elephant in the room. When we went after Longwood, right, we didn't view it as a lifestyle change. Like I remember the discussions between Brian and I, where I tried to take the position that it was 3 jobs that were sort of what we do, that we were going to do concurrent. And it didn't turn out to be that. And it turned out to be a lot more difficult than I probably anticipated or any of us anticipated. But it wasn't different than what we thought. when we started. But once we got into it and we had to finish that project, we realized it was quite different. And in Ford's puzzle analogy, I still think it fits. Like, I still think now there's this large corner of the puzzle off, like in the right-hand top corner, we have this crazy thing that we did that's amazing, that can be parlayed into other work, because there's not many companies that can do the work we just did. And that's amazing. And our team has to be proud of that, and don't try and like put it out of your mind. But at the same time, we want to put it behind us, because we're not going to go do that job again.
Yeah.
We're going to go do other jobs and fill in the pieces of the puzzle. And at some point, the rest of the puzzle that we're building will connect to that Longwood piece, and you'll see it, And for me, sort of what's over there on that wing is, you think about like Marion Country Club or Aronimink, right? We're building these things that is not a lot of people work at. And we have the opportunity to work there, and it requires a certain level of skill and a certain level of attention to detail and handling and management by PMs and supervisors and superintendents. So I think that piece of the puzzle, that side, will continue to grow. Yeah. But to just go sit in a farm field is exciting. And it lets us look to, as Ford said, that we can look at what the core values say, and what's on our cards or on the website or in our office. But the truth is, culture, Ford always says it's amorphous, right? Like, it doesn't really it's not a thing that you can like quantify. It's hard to get your hands around. But I think when you see our people and you see them working, you see the culture, right? Like you see it. And it's more than just the words on the wall. It's who we are every day. It's who our team is every day. When I say we, I mean, it's them. You look, historically, I think we looked at it the other day. We have a pretty good field to office ratio. And it's the field, you know what I mean? The field drives what that culture is. And then the office grows into that and says like, okay, we're going to embrace that culture, that attitude. And then you see it in an office environment, which is really neat, right? To see like our office staff have similar feelings and emotions about our work and care, you know what I mean, is really neat. And so it's exciting to make this leap and sort of say like, okay, we're going to make a lifestyle change here. We're going to go on a diet, as Ford said. You know what I mean? We're going to, and not a diet like we're not going to eat and we're not, it's not that. We're going to go back to doing what we do, and we're going to live a lifestyle that's the way we want to live, which is working, we always say, do what you know, where you know, with people you know. Mm-hmm. And now we're getting back to the point where we're working with people we know, right? We're on Dash a lot. You know what I mean? Like our jobs are, the way the job breakout is there some delineation of which division is doing it and what year it is, and then a job number, which is a client number, and then the last dash is how many jobs you've done for that client. And we're starting to see more that aren't dash 1, dash 2, and that's really what we want, because that means you wanted us to work there and we wanted to work there again. And that's like a breeding ground for success, because now we're doing work we know with people we know, and we're starting to know locations. So that's exciting. And I think you feel it with the team. Both in the office and in the field. I think you can sort of feel everybody like taking a breath and saying like, okay, we're gonna go do some work now, and it's gonna be fun.
And I think there's also a maturation process too, because it's like, we've always had like the get her done mentality, and I think we still have it, but now it's get it done. It's proper English. We're doing stuff more. Sure.
Like until the work gets done, not till the work gets
done. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like instead of using like the euphemisms of like, you are, or something like that, we're still have the same mentality, but we're just doing it in a little bit more organized fashion, a little bit more planning, things of that nature. So it's just kind of like a growing up from maybe where it was before, where you just got it done and didn't really, now it's like, okay, we're going to plan ahead. We're going to go close the job out. We're going to have a meeting after. We're just doing some of those things that help us continue to grow, but they're just things that we didn't do before because that wasn't really part of what we needed to do in order to keep improving.
Right. Yeah. So hear me out for 1 second. I think we're going to cling to this puzzle idea for a little while. It just feels like it really like suits where we're at mentally as a company, etc. But is it possible that it's more like a Lego set or a 3D puzzle than a flat on your coffee table puzzle? Because something you said just a moment ago was like somewhere this Longwood project is a piece of the puzzle. It's a corner of the puzzle, right? And I started to think about like, if you were building, and in my head it's Legos, because I don't do Legos anymore, but I like Lego sets. I think they're they're fun.
Do you like them with or without the directions?
I mostly use the directions.
I thought so. I had a feeling.
Yeah. But all right. If we're gonna get off,
Don't get me on a rant on. Don't get me on a rant on Legos because I got issues with Legos.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we're building like a Millennium Falcon here or something like that.
I mean, I like the analogy. I do. Go ahead, continue with it because I like this.
Because somewhere in the middle of all this, at some point, is going to be our core. What built us, what shaped us, what changed us, what made us who we are. But the shell might look different, So I think that's a little bit of what both of you are saying here. Is like, this thing that we embraced and did very well and turned out beautiful, even though it impacted us in ways we didn't expect. That's somewhere attached to, it's an appendage now. It's part of the body. It's going to shape a lot of the things that we do in the future, but it doesn't mean we can't kind of get back to the heart of who we are. Right. And I think in similar ways, when you talk about culture and you talk about, what the fiber or the fabric or whatever you want to call it, that's woven through each of the things that we do, like those are the things that kind of pull all these things together: the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the muddy.
Well, Brian, what I was thinking about there is in using that analogy, I almost wonder, like, and we're hung up on this, but it's interesting to think about it because I think it gives you some view into the thinking of how the company operates as a big unit, right? What if it's not that it's like a Millennium Falcon and it's a thing, right? Because I think that's first. It's like Ford said, we don't know what it is we're building. We're just going to keep building and we're going to keep bolting on. But what if it's not that you're bolting on pieces that are like appendages, but you're building almost like when you look at a picture of the Earth and it has the inner core and the mantle and all those things and working out. Like, because I actually think Longwood could be at the core of who we are. Like, not at the very core, but it's a piece where we said, like, we got to this certain point and we did this thing. And I picture it almost like if you had like a protection around the original thing. It's going to teach us a lot of lessons about what we have to do to protect the core company, the core of that culture. But then we're going to grow out from that. Like, we're going to grow from Longwood. That's not to go say we're going to do some other very similar project in Baltimore. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that every project we do will now be thought through more thoughtfully because we may not have been as careful as we should have with the planning of that project. And so it's almost like it's building on it, that it continues to get bigger. But along with that analogy, like it's a good point. This is not at some point you could have a grand picture of what Berg Construction was. And it would, it could be like a flat map. But the truth is, we're building this thing.
It'd have a fire station and a little farmhouse, and
maybe like a monorail. There'd be a tour. You could have Ford's voice. Yeah. Could tell you what he was thinking.
I like that.
I don't know how he'd figure that out.
Yeah.
But
That's the problem with Legos nowadays. Like, I want to get the bucket of just pieces and just construct from creativity.
Sure.
And everything you buy now with Legos is some specialized, like, there's a beginning and an end of it. Where I grew up, like, it was to use your mind and make your mind wander because you were trying to figure out how the pieces tied together, which I think this ties a little bit too. Because if you built, like, I literally got the D11 or D10 and it's half built and, like, you just followed the directions. There wasn't any, it's like, okay, put A to B, B to C, C to D, E, like go up to the alphabet. And it's like, okay, that doesn't really, I'd rather have just gotten a bunch of pieces and tried to actually figure it out because that's what we do.
Right. That's so interesting because that speaks to like who Ford is, right? Mm-hmm. Like, in other words, I think, I think Brian, I can see you liking the directions, right? And wanting to be able to build because you know how you're going to get from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. I don't really want to waste my time building some specific thing, but if you're going to make me do it, I'm going to say somebody better give me some directions because this is a million pieces that I don't know how it goes together.
Yeah.
But I'd rather just like mess around and build something that's absolutely nothing. Just, we'll build a tower and then let's just move on and I'm disinterested. Let's go do something physical and get something done. Whereas Ford looks at it like, give me a giant bucket of Legos and I'm going to build you something amazing. What are you building? I don't know. Yeah. How long is it going to take you? Don't know. What's it going to look like? I don't know. But he believes that he's going to get to some point that he doesn't know where it is, right? Like speaks to who he is. It's sort of when he was saying it, I sort of thought like, do you hate I hate adult coloring books. Like I didn't
even know they were a thing.
No, it's a thing. And I feel like I'm either angry and jealous because someone has so much time on their hands that they can figure out a place that they can do something of no value to them. that's not productive, or I'm aggravated because you're wasting your time. We can be fair and people can judge. I'm not even saying it's one or the other. It's one or the other. But Ford, like, would you like the color by number thing, or Ford, you'd rather like draw a picture? Like, because it's so funny because neither of us, I don't view either Ford or I as like creative people. Like you're probably never going to see us with like a paintbrush trying to paint a landscape. That's never going to happen. It would be, for me at least, it would be a disaster. I don't know. I couldn't paint a circle probably.
Well, I do think there's a difference between creative and artistic, and you might be describing that.
Oh, yes. Okay. Artistic, not, but
I think probably not artistic. I don't think I'd describe either of you as artistic, but I would say creative. I think that, like the create solutions mindset stems from being willing to see something that doesn't exist yet.
And fail. I think that's.
Well, I mean, I think that like you look at snow, you look at emergency utility work. Those are all perfect examples of stuff that I personally love because you're out there and you're trying to figure it out as you go. Like you don't have the parts yet because you don't even know what's broken, but you know something's broken and it has to be fixed. So you got to explore, then you got to figure out, do we have the parts? Can we use something else that we don't have? Can we call a person and get this stuff? Like those are the things that make it interesting, because if you look at back when I had time to doodle, like I would just draw trails and just like, it was just blank pages. I would never use something that was like pre-drawn. It would just be me making something up on a piece of paper that might tie to it.
Before that ties to we all love sports, right? And we all played like organized sports to varying degrees. And I mean, I love organized sports, but if given my choice, I like, and it's something that's come up generationally now. They talk about like free play, that you just like go out and find your friends and play. You know, it doesn't happen as much anymore. They think it's one of the problems. But as I really started to like ski and surf, that's actually along this. It's why I like that probably the best of any of the things I do, is because in both cases, you put me in a situation that is less than ideal with a solution that is ever changing and no real answer. The only answer is I have to safely make it to some other spot than where I am. And I don't know what's in my way. Exactly. Like, so it triggered me as soon as Ford said it. That's what I like about those things. Like I would like to stand at the top of an icy hill with a lot of things in my way and people that probably are not very good and some people that are really good. And let's see if I can get to the bottom and how fast can I do it in terms of not that we're racing, but how efficiently. Like I would do the same trail if we go to Blue Mountain, which we do sometimes.
Sure.
I'll just run challenge over and over again as fast as I can do it. I'm not actually racing. I'm seeing if I can correct each time, figure out something that makes it smoother, that makes it faster, cut out a little thing, do a little thing. And after a bunch of times, I'll be like, okay, I don't think I can go. It's not speed. I don't think I can do this any more efficient. Right. And it's why I like to ski in the woods, because the woods ultimately now it's like chaos. And so I realized that sort of plays to that same idea, that solutions mindset where you like to be, I don't want to ski down a trail that it tells me exactly where to ski it. It's not fun. Similarly, surfing is the same way. Every wave is going to be different. Anything, you're just going to paddle and then stand up and hope for the best.
You ever see that movie? I think it's a Netflix movie, the Gran Turismo movie, where the kids, like Nissan was like basically, I think essentially failing as a racing brand. And so what they did was they had this like contest where kids who played this game could compete for an opportunity to be like trained to race, right? Trained to be a driver. And I do think it's based on a true story. I think there's some loose connections there. And that's sort of what it reminds me of a little bit. Like if you've ever watched the movie, which I actually recommend it. I think it's good. It's a good like family friendly movie too. So watching it with the girls isn't bad. But the kid who ultimately wasn't the best like racer, but like in his mind could see the track or path differently than everybody else, but ended up being more successful. Mm-hmm. So I think that sort of that like refinement, like there's got to be a better way to do this. Like how do we pursue a solution or an option that gets us there? Maybe not faster, but probably better.
Well, and that's honestly, I can tie this right back in. That's what's happening right now within the company with this culture and it's not inherently Ford, right? And it's not really inherently me. It's our team looking at Longwood already and saying like, okay, what could we have done that would have made this go better? And you can't rerun it, but they're going to rerun it in every other job now. And that's sort of what I'm saying about this like protection that's been built around the core now, is that they're looking at it and saying like, okay, well, we did this, but what could have been better? I don't
The
want to
root
say
cause analysis.
it's a root cause analysis that they're
Yes.
doing, but they're doing it in a way that you're not saying it was wrong. You're just saying, let's find everything that we could have done better and then try to fix some of those things. Not all the things, but fix some of the things.
Right.
And that gets at the core of what our culture is, right? Because at our core, the culture is like get it done, find solutions. You know what I mean? Like, and you see it everywhere. You know, like we recently had a meeting and Don Hunter was saying about, you know, a question without a solution, a problem without a solution is a problem unto itself.
Yeah,
right? And it was like, I've heard that before. It's not surprising. It's not something I didn't know, but it is funny to watch every piece of the company try and find all these solutions and say like, let's go, you know, it's exciting. And then push, you know what I mean? Like now let's push, let's go be exciting. Let's go have fun, go do what we deem as exciting work. Other people might say that's not exciting. No, you're just pushing dirt around in a field. But to us, you know, you see a 155 or a 65 pushing a lot of dirt. That's fun. You know what I mean? That's exciting. And that's sort of who we are. You know what I mean? Is every day is go do that and go have fun and see results and move on, you know? So, and I think it's appropriate this time of year coming out of Thanksgiving into Christmas, you know, the new year, everybody's going to make a bunch of resolutions. And, the problem with the resolution is people don't follow them, right? Like you make a resolution and there's stats like, you know, like 2 weeks in, 70-80% of people have already failed at the resolution.
Yeah, I think it might be faster than that.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
At this point in our world,
with
it's
our
like 2 to 3 hours.
I was going to say 7 seconds is the attention span.
It didn't even last until breakfast of New Year's Day. But I think that we're, you know, that's where we are. Is we're not making resolutions in terms of things we're like hoping to do. We're saying like this is how we're going to run from now on because it's healthier for the company and for us as individuals. You know, and that's exciting. It's exciting to be in that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is like an interesting time to be reflective in that way, right? To talk about what we're thankful for, you know, what we're excited about, and what we're going to do differently.
Yeah. So the other thing with time of year, and I sort of saved this. We almost talked about it beforehand, but so Advent calendar started for us, right?
Oh, yes.
My family is not super religious. I grew up Catholic. I'm like a recovering Catholic at this point. Like
Is there a group for that?
Yeah, there is a large. It may be. I would argue that if you could get an honest survey, you may have more recovering Catholics than actual Catholics. That's sure to get us. Okay. Yeah, sure to get me in trouble for sure. But
right. That's a conversation starter, I bet.
That's a conversation ender usually. But so, you know, so the girls were actually reading, ironically, like a story that I walked through the house and I heard it, and there was too many names that were Bible names that Erin was reading them some story that she got that was a version of one of the original like Bible stories around this time of year. And but like not super religious, but we do, you know, the whole Christmas thing. The girls will go to church once in a while. We talk about it. We talk about, you know, the Bible and 10 Commandments and all that sort of stuff. But we have the Advent calendar. And so the first day of Advent was, you know, Sunday. So the girls' first thing was a tetherball. And so Brian knows a little bit of the story. Ford doesn't know any. So Erin got them tetherball. They opened it up. They were super excited. We had practice or training. So Sunday afternoon, I dig a hole against my wishes because it has to be concreted in, and I wasn't going to do that in Sunday afternoon in freezing. And so I dig the hole, compact it, put it up, try to explain to Charlotte how to play this game. And Charlotte hits the ball forward, and it spins around. She spins around to hit it the other way, and it hits her directly in the face. And so I immediately realized that my kids have great eye-foot coordination, but we really haven't worked on hand-eye coordination.
Okay.
So they can surf, they can ski, they can play soccer, they can skateboard, they can do all kinds of things. They're okay at throwing a baseball. We never really did it, never played it. So this goes a few times. Charlotte knocks herself out like 3 times. And I walk in and I'm like, they're going to kill themselves with this thing. So I'm driving home yesterday and they all get home and they're all going to play tetherball. So I call Brian because first they just get in a melee out back, and Erin is laughing on the phone while explaining to me what's going on out back. And so I get home and I'm trying to talk to her about it. And so the girls come in and I was like, I heard you were playing tetherball. And they said, yeah, we were playing 2v1. And I was like, what? Well, tetherball isn't a 2v1 game. They're like, yeah, no, there's 2 people on offense, 1 person on defense. And I said, well, what does the defender have to do? And they said, not get hit by the ball. So basically, two of them would stand on at the 3 points of a clock and would wail the ball at the other one who had to duck to get out of the way before the ball hit them. And then it either hit the other person or they caught it and fired it right back at the person who was ducking. But that wasn't enough for it in my kids' normal behaviors. They also dumped out all the ice out of the wheelbarrows and spread the broken ice chunks all over the ground to make it very icy so that if you tried to get too close to the pole where the ball wouldn't hit you, you would slip and fall. So they did this for a little while, and I'm already going to be judged for saying recovering Catholic. So Aaron also videotaped some of this, which was hilarious to watch as they just wail each other with the ball and chase each other around. You can hear them breathing heavy, and these are really active, fit kids, and they're breathing heavy because they're struggling. And at some point, Aaron had to stop it because the ball went flying, and it caught Mara and wrapped around her twice, and then clotheslined her as she tried to run away, and she pulled the pole out of the ground. And so I said, well, what happened to the pole? And they said, it fell over. I said, it fell over? I dug a pretty deep hole. And they said, well, maybe not fell over. And then they told me what happened. So that was tetherball, Ford. So that could be a gift coming your way in maybe 10 years. Give you a tetherball, see how the girls do.
Well, two things. One, wall ball. That was what we did as kids, which had the similarity because you peg people. If
also called, in
know.
Pennsylvania, did they have another name for that game?
No.
In New Jersey, it was called suicide.
No, that was a different game.
Yeah.
But no, but I was just thinking, if that's the first day of Advent, I want to know what the rest of this Advent is. Because, I'm thinking we have a book opening every night. They get to read books every night till Christmas. I'm like, if the first one was tetherball, what's day 24? Corvette or something?
Look at it. Yeah,
I mean, can't blow it up because a couple days left.
She starts with
starts big, and then you'll end up with
a little couple things. Okay. Once a week, it's something. It's not big.
We do the calendars with the chocolate.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So our Advent calendar is it's about 3 foot tall by maybe 4 foot by 2 foot.
The tetherball can't even fit over there. What do you have, a picture of it on there?
Yes, Aaron has draws little index cards.
Okay.
That says what it is. So some days are just you have hot chocolate because you can't make up.
You can't play.
I
was gonna say, I was like, how many things are left? You got 23 days left. Amazon's gonna be at your house a lot.
Yeah, well, they're already there a lot.
Facebook Marketplace, a lot of
Facebook Marketplace,
a lot of porch pickup.
Yeah, a lot of porch pickups of different things. So that's. But so I don't know. I don't think anybody else has anything as crazy as that with their Advent calendars here in the group. But
no, yeah.
So I saved that because I was just if you know the girls, which a lot of the guys do, that's. I told Scott Gardner about it, and he said, what I like about your kids is they go right to the limit of what would be reasonable, and then they take it at least one step further.
Yes.
And I was like, that's what makes it fun.
We think it's a MacArthur trait. Right.
Yes, that's what you said. It's a MacArthur trait. Yeah. So I do like to find the edge. If you don't know, and you can't find the edge if you don't go over it. Otherwise, you're just assuming. Like when Columbus sailed, they said the world was flat. You have to get somewhere to prove it's not.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. So I don't know. You got to go a little beyond the edge.
Yeah.
Then you got to come back.
Yeah.
And you
don't
got to
go
be
off
safe.
the edge.
And you got to realize the edge is there, and then not drive off the edge again.
Don't go off the edge. Just find it.
Yeah. Just find it.
I got you.
Teeter back. So maybe that's where we tied up, right? Maybe that's what we did. We went right to the edge, pushed it to the limit of what we were capable of, and now we're going to come back. But once you build it, we may be able to go further than that. We're going to have to be in a better position to do it and be more intentional. And that's really the key to the way that we operate between the three of us. Is once we find that edge and we sort of come back and report back hey, that was the edge. And then somebody, usually Brian, has to fix it and say okay, you got a little too close to the edge there.
Yeah.
But then we figure out a way to be more intentional and more purposeful. And I think that's what's going on right now is figuring out how to manage all these variables that we didn't account for enough and then go out and say okay, well now that's not the edge anymore. We don't know where the edge is, but let's operate in our comfort zone. Let's do what we do. And build ourselves up to where we're ready to go find the edge again. And then I don't know what the edge will be next time, but I hope we approach it more intentionally.
I think it's maybe a lot of analogies, right? But you guys are both beach guys, right? So I think it's almost like a bad storm the way it reshapes the coastline. We're just gonna look for the next sandbar and build it back up. So
it moved 2 miles down the road.
Yeah,
it's still there. Just go find it.
Yeah, you just gotta.
Unless you get paid to put it back.
Oh, that's good work.
Well, that's
Brian, that's always something Ford and I have that interest in.
Well, I mean,
beach construction.
It's a little like the opposite of snow, right? Snow, we push it somewhere, it disappears. Yeah. This one, it's constantly disappearing. If we could find a way to be the replenisher,
that's good work. We got
that might be. Yeah,
that might be.
Might be consistent.
Podcast. You may have just heard where we're going next.
Oh boy!
I don't know when we'll get there, but. We gotta. Well, the other one that's interesting along those lines, Brian, is dredging. And Ford and I have talked about that with dredging. Same principle. You remove something that that you know you have to remove again.
It's gonna happen
It's-
again. Yeah.
You know, it's like you're guaranteed.
Job security.
Job security.
All right, that's a good place to wrap it up.
I guess, sure.
Thanks for joining us today, folks. We hope you got something from this, and we hope you come back for